So this will be my chapter 1 wrap-up video on quiz 1.4 question 1, and then this is the question here. But I would say what mistakes I've made was mine didn't really include the 2 down here, and it just looked like this. But after that, I wouldn't really know what to do. So just including the 2 there just helps me solve this question a little bit easier. So when we kind of plug in our equation, which was this, 0 approaching pi over 3. So when we would plug in our numbers, 6 theta d theta over 2, it kind of helps me a little bit more because it kind of leads me on to where I want to go, having the 2 down there, which is kind of the mistake I made by not including it when I first started this question. But after this, we just kind of factor out the 2, and we times the 25 over 2 with 1/2. And then here, if we just drop this below, we'd be given 25 over 4. And same thing here, which would still leave us with the same thing over here. So here, I also didn't know how to approach it when it came to kind of keep solving this equation, or the question. So what I came up with and what really worked for me is using just U substitution. So when I went on, I would use U would equal to 6 theta, du would equal 6 d theta. And then here I would just divide this and then divide du by 6, which would leave us with 1 over 6 du, which would just equal d theta. So after I would do this, same thing. We just keep on solving the equation. And when we get the antiderivative of, let's say, 1 in respect to d theta, it would just be theta minus, and then here in our u sub, what we have there, it's 1 over 6. And then the antiderivative of cos would be sine. And then we would still be left with 6 theta. And here, just still plug these in. And what we would do after would be simply plug in pi over 3 for theta. And then after that, we would just plug in the same thing, but instead of pi over theta, we would plug in 0. And I would kind of go over that, which would be 25 over 4 pi over 3 minus 1 over 6 sine. And then this would just be 2 pi. And then now we would plug in 0 sine, and this would just be 0. So here this would be 0, this is already 0, this would be 0, and we would just be left with this here. And what we do is just simply 25 over 4 times pi over 3. And here we'd be left with 25 pi over 12, which is the answer for that question. But just to say, I really got confused when it came to not including the 2 here and just keeping that as is, which I could still like multiply 1/1 on this side, but it just makes it a lot easier just keeping the 2 under here, just so I know where to approach the question after. But yeah, this would be my submission for the chapter 1 wrap-up video.